Welcome back, guys. It is day 5 on the Camino de Santiago, breaking the stages with the help of Google Earth Pro from the vlog that I shot about 3 years ago in 2017. Today it is day 5 and we're leaving Puente la Reina, and it should have been a 22-kilometer day, but I continue walking an extra 7.5, so I made it a 30-kilometer day with 2 extreme climbs that I have in front of me. Not too much, but it could have been a lot easier. Before we go into detail, let's go over the Camino de Santiago as a whole so that when you guys get there, you know it like the back of your hand. The Camino de Santiago stretches from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port all the way to Santiago de Compostela, covering over 800 kilometers. Now, I trace the Camino from beginning to end with a level of detail that is greater than a GPS tracks, because a GPS tracks has an inherent error. So when you see the path, it zigzags over the road back and forward. And how much ground did I cover over 33 days? Well, it turns out that it was closer to 750 kilometers. As you make your way westbound from France all the way to the end of the world, you're gonna go through different provinces, starting with Navarra, followed by La Rioja, the huge, immense Castilla and León, and finally Galicia. These are the cities that you're going to see along the way, starting in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, followed by Pamplona, Logroño, Burgos, León, Ponferrada, Sarria, and finally Santiago de Compostela. But the trip doesn't end there, because some people go all the way to the end of the world, Fisterra or Muxia, which is about 100 kilometers extra. It takes you 3 to 4 days to get there, and you get another Compostela. For example, I made it to Fisterra, and at the Albergue, the municipal Albergue, you get another Compostela. We are still in Navarra territory, and we're fast approaching the wine region of La Rioja, Logroño. It's going to take me 7 days in totals to get there. So if you have a week vacation and you want to go over there and do an amazing stage, you can go from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, go over the Pyrenees, and then make your way to Logroño. Here's today's stage with the help of the elevation profile, and as I mentioned before, we're gonna have a couple of climbs. The first one, you can't miss it, is right outside the town of Puente la Reina. As we're making our way to Mañeru, you're gonna start out walking in flat terrain, and then you're gonna have a 142 meter climb. That's gonna take you a kilometer and a half to get there, and you can actually pick up like a stone and take it to the top where they have a pile of rocks where you throw it in there. It's kind of like a miniature version of what we're going to be doing in Ponferrada in Cruz de Fierro. From Mañeru to Siracuí, you're walking for about 3 kilometers, and you're going up and down through the hills. There's going to be a few vineyards. We're going to start to see the terrain change once again. And from there all the way to Estella, you are at the top of the mountain, just going up and down over a few hills. This is where the stage was supposed to end. I kept going to the next town where the guidebook recommended me to go, to a public albergue that turned out to be closed. So instead of backtracking about half an hour, I decided to keep pushing forward for an extra 1 hour and a half or 2. By myself, because most pilgrims stay in Estella, and I walked for 7.5 kilometers to the town of Ázqueta, where I stay at a private albergue that was, by the way, one of the best ones on the entire Camino for me. On this trip, I stayed 90% of the time at municipal albergues. I just wanted the full pilgrim experience, but staying in private ones was still great. The day started at 7:30 in the morning after I woke up and left the albergue. Puente la Reina is one of the highlights of the Camino Frances. You can tell that this town was made for pilgrims, and it was during the Middle Ages. This was a major town. 2 of the Caminos merged here, and now you're going to start to see a little bit more pilgrims on the trail. Made my way into town after crossing the arches in the church, and I walked past a few cafes. I had breakfast, and not long after that, I was by the famous bridge at 7:55 in the morning. I got some drone shots here over the Rio Arga, the first river that we're going to be crossing of 3 in total for the day. I spent some time here getting shots of the bridge from almost every angle before heading out into the countryside. 8:16 when I made it to Convento de Santi Spiritu, walk past the monastery and onto a metal cross that you get to see here. And you're walking in pretty much flat terrain for this stretch. This is where I picked up the red flower that I put in my ear. I started doing that in the trip. I would always pick the flower that was abundant in the area. The ones that, for example, the yellow ones, there were endless fields of those. So it wasn't like I was picking flowers from people's backyard or anything like that. Not far from there is when we started doing the actual climbing. It was going to be 130 meters or so of a steep climb. I picked up a rock and I took it all the way up here to the top, right next to the road. This is where there was a pile of rocks here and people would just throw them in there as an offering, I guess. It's kind of like when you do a Fonsebadona de Cruz de Fierro when you're entering Galicia. Just before you get to the starting point for the climb, there's another one before that takes you up here to these ruins that are right next to the road. You can also visit the Ermita de Santa Barbara all the way up here. It has a beautiful stone cross right in front of it. You can see it here in 3D. And you can see the majestic views down below of the town of Meñerú and the valley and Puente la Reina. You can see the whole area, but it is quite the climb. Only if you're doing a short stage do I recommend you go all the way up here. First town of the day today, Meñerú. Iglesia de San Pedro de Meñerú. There was a yellow arrow here under a tree, a water fountain. After making my way through the town, I left at 9:21 and I was back out into the countryside, walking by this cemetery at 9:30 in the morning. And I started seeing vineyards in the area. I got some cool drone shots here before making it to the next town. One of the most beautiful towns that I've seen, at least the entrance. You can see the road winding in the distance and going to a town that's on top of a hill. Cemetery right here in the front. Got some drone shots from this corner. I was already at the 25% of the way there at 10 in the morning. This is where I saw the tractor pass me by before going under the doors, the gates, into the town. You're climbing here all the way up, but the streets are charming. You can see the doors with the peculiar doorknobs. You can see flowers on the front of the houses. And I saw a couple of kids here selling bracelets and yellow arrows and stuff like that for pilgrims. Iglesia de San Román here all the way at the top. They always make you go up to the top of the town, and that's where they have the church. From there, you go down as you're leaving the town, 9:20. Remember the ruins of an ancient bridge here, an ancient Roman bridge. I saw a pilgrim pass me by, got a couple of shots. This is where I said goodbye to the town. You can see it behind you now. You're right next to the road before you go over this overpass. And continue walking through vineyards and olive trees. From now on, the landscape is going to completely change and it's going to be more of vineyards. I walked in April, so the trees were not in bloom, but I can only imagine when it is and when you have the grapes. Kind of reminds me as I was walking through Tuscany on the Via Francigena. That was also another memorable spot. Of course, Tuscany. As you're making your way, you're going to cross over a few bridges along the way today. This is the ruins of another ancient bridge. Did not stop on this one. I continue on, zigzagging between the main road, going over overpasses or under it. But it's not too bad. I mean, most of the walk for the day, I say about 70% or more, is just in backcountry roads. So you get to see the main road every now and then. It's not like you're walking like the Camino Inglés where you're on the asphalt for the majority of the time. 11:12 in the morning, made it to the ruins of another ancient bridge and decided to make a quick stop. There's the second river of the day, Desado River, where the water is very, very salty, so do not drink water from here. Saw a couple of pilgrims here having lunch, having their break. I decided to take off my shoes and dip my feet in the cold water, reapply sunscreen, you know, the whole routine already. And I flew the drone from here, and this is where I almost crashed my drone. It's the only time that it's ever happened to me in any of my Caminos. After I was done getting my shot, of course, I went sideways into the trees over here, and the actual drone went inside the canopy of the tree, and I thought, that's it, I lost it. I lost at least the propellers, and I didn't have a spare set. But no, I heard the engines going, the motors going. So by instinct, I pulled back, and the drone magically flew out of the trees, and it did not hit a single branch. It was a miracle. I had to say, I had to admit it. It should have crashed. From here, I started climbing once again, decided to take off the leggings on my shoes because it was warming up. As I made my way to the town of Lorca, got there at noon, walked past Parroquia de San Salvador. There's another water fountain here where the water is not treated, so you should only take water from there if you have a filter. For example, I have this water bottle that has a filter inside, so I can drink water from any pond, river, fountain like this one. On the Camino Frances, I had a backpack with a camel bag and a filter attached to it. I don't like that method anymore for the simple reason that you never know how much water you have left or how much you have consumed. There's an Albergue here, La Bodega del Camino, and here I decided to have lunch. They had pinchos and paella. I was done with eating so much bread, so I decided to switch over to the paella, and instead of having a beer, I went for some orange juice. Continue on walking. You can see there's a supermarket here where I bought another battery. I kept thinking that the onboard battery on the microphone that I had was just getting drained by the cold temperatures, and now we know that it was the actual cable that plugs into the camera that broke the interior of the connector. 12:30 in the afternoon, walking, trailing the main roads. I was already by the halfway point, close to 1 in the afternoon, exposed to the sun, exposed to the elements. As I made my way underpass here under the highway and the village of Villa Tuerta. Suburban neighborhood over here, nothing like the villages that we walk past. You can tell that this is like a major town, that we're getting close to Logroño, except for the bridge, of course. When you get to the old city center, that's where you start to see what we're here for, right? So here's another Puente medieval bridge that goes over yet another river. It was almost 2 in the afternoon. There's a pharmacy here in case you need to buy things for your feet, in case you're having problems with blisters. Here's where I saw that funny water tap that looked like a clown. It's either funny or scary depending on your point of view. Iglesia de la Asunción de Villa Tuerta. I got a stamp here in this church. It was almost 2 in the afternoon already. I made a quick stop here in front of the church. There's a statue. There's a park. You can take a break. 2.5 kilometers to Estella, and you're just going up and down over the hills, gaining and losing about 50 meters of elevation, which is not too bad. Here's La Ermita de San Miguel, and you have not 1 but 2 rest areas in case you want to stop. But I continue on walking, going over the Rio Ega, which I would reconnect with it as I get to Estella. You make your way past a few factories here, so it's like a mini polígono industrial, nothing too bad, nothing too horrible that you have to endure, but it is there. And then I finally made it at 2:40 in the afternoon to the town of Estella. This is where I was supposed to stay for the day. I got some good shots here of la Iglesia de Santo Sepulcro. I got shots of the Puente del Carcel. And I did not even notice that the municipal albergue was right across from it. If I would have noticed it, I would have stayed here. But this is one of the benefits of having the GPS tracks, is that if I would have been walking, I could have seen the marker there. I could have made a note to stop in this place. But instead, it was the 75% of the way for me. And from here, we're going to start climbing once again. So I'm covering some ground that I should have covered on tomorrow stage. Plenty of places to stay in this town. You got a few iglesias, you got a few points of interest. I suggest you stay here and explore the town because it is well worth it. But I continue on walking by the main road. I can see scallop shells in posts that were kind of like leading me out of the town. Remember, I was like talking to my wife. I made my way here by Albergue de Peregrinos. by this roundabout, and I was going to the next town. It's all connected, so I guess it's like another suburb, to a municipal albergue, kind of like a youth hostel. Walk past the first 100-kilometer marker. The last 100 kilometers to Santiago starts in Sarria, and the end of the first 100 kilometers end here in this town. I went to the municipal albergue. It was closed, so I had a choice to make. Should I go back for half an hour to Estella? But I did not want to do that. I just wanted to keep going forward. Whenever I get into a town and things are not going right for me, my personal decision is to move on. Maybe on the next one, I'll have a better luck. It was 3:26 in the afternoon, almost 4 o'clock, but the sunset is like at 8 o'clock, and you still have like the magic hour until 9 o'clock at night. And I only had to go an extra 7.5 kilometers to a private albergue that I had on my guidebook. There are a few more along the way, but I had no idea that they were there. Anyways, started climbing, and that's when I made it to La Fuente del Vino, right across the street from Monasterio Santa Maria La Real Irache. The Irache vineyards, they give you free wine. They have a tap with water and wine. Guess what most people get? Of course, it is the red wine. I was there by myself. I had it sipped before taking a quick break here by another water fountain, another rest stop before heading on. If you stay in Estella, on the next stage you have two options. You can make a left turn and go through the mountain here, a little bit more mountainous terrain with no pilgrim support until you get to Los Arcos, or you can follow the main Camino, as I did. Continue on walking, made it my way through the forest here. I was running low on battery on my phone, but since I had extra drone batteries and I had an adapter to a USB port, I could charge the batteries on my phone. I was already on overtime. The vlog was on overtime. I continue on walking. I just wanted to get there already. Saw a couple of signs about wild dogs, but it's just like a hunting area, so not to worry about it. 5:30 in the afternoon, I got the first views of Ázqueta. This is where I saw the sign, the Estella sign, Stella. Made it to Ázqueta at 5:33 in the afternoon. Walked past the church and finally made it to Albergue La Perla Negra. Knocked on the door. The lady opened. I asked her, "Do you have some room for me?" She said yes. So what a relief, right? I went in there. It's a private albergue, so instead of getting bunk beds, I had my own private room for two people, and I had my own bed with a window, which was nice. The dinner was included, and the breakfast on the next morning was included as well. So what did I have to do? Just take a shower, wash my clothes. I hang it outside, right next to the front door. The only thing was that there was a bar in town and it was closed. So instead I decided to go to the church and get a couple of drone shots, which I did. And then around 7:30, I think, is when we had dinner, communal dinner with all the pilgrims there, a couple from Italy, and there was a couple that was actually walking with a dog. This was the last time that I saw them. I saw a few pilgrims walking with dogs, especially in the first stage of the Camino de Santiago. And then once I got to like La Meseta, I stopped seeing them, and I think I saw them once again as I was getting closer to Santiago. You could do it, but municipal albergues do not let you go in or stay with a dog. So most people that walk with dogs either stay in private accommodations or they camp. So guys, that was day 5 on the Camino de Santiago. Long 30-kilometer day, but well worth it. Tomorrow we get to Logroño, La Rioja, and I'm gonna take a rest day, a much deserved rest day, because my Achilles tendon were killing me, and I think tomorrow was just one of those days where I was in a lot of pain. Just getting to Logroño, I remember, was tough. But let's go over that on the next video.